My name's Kit. I'm going to talk to you today about a product, Medic Passport. So, the health and care landscape has changed recently in a similar way to what we've seen in consumer products. There's been a trend towards people wanting more from the way that they get healthcare. Where patients previously were happy to attend on a clinician schedule, to have a one-to-one relationship with a doctor, and to go where they were bidden and see who they were told, that seems to be changing now. People have gotten used to having services on demand. They're getting used to having more convenience in when they see a medical practitioner, but also where, potentially online or in their own home. And there's more demand for convenience. And this has occurred at the same time as a change in what healthcare workers want. So my background is medicine. I worked primarily in accident and emergency medicine. And what all branches of medicine has seen is that there's an increasing desire amongst healthcare professionals to either work flexibly or to work less than part-time. This is partially because of parental responsibilities, partially because people want to have perhaps a portfolio career or do some charity work or work for MSF, things like that. But the bottom result is that the average number of jobs a doctor has is now greater than 1. It's about 1.3. And the same is true for nurses. So there's a lot of available roles in the healthcare sector, and there's only a fixed number of doctors, nurses, and health professionals that can fill those roles. So this is happening in medicine and nursing, obviously, but we're also seeing a similar pattern in associated health professionals, so particularly radiographers have a lot of demand, physiotherapists, and care as well, direct care. So there's an increasing need for care provision in this country, elderly people that need someone to help them come in, make a cup of tea, take their pills, get up, have a shower, that sort of thing. And this is a trend that's growing with the kind of silver wave that we're seeing. So there's this shift fundamentally from an ongoing relationship with a caregiver to more of an on-demand type relationship. So rather than having a family doctor who you would see, who would come out day or night, people have gotten used to seeing perhaps a range of GPs when they go to visit their primary care facility that operate a shared rota. Then from that, people have gotten more used to going to walk-in centres and A&E, and the massively increased demand in A&E is kind of testament to this, that people want to be seen when they want to be seen. They don't schedule their illness crops up despite your plans, and so people now have an increasing desire to be treated when they're ready to be treated and when they kind of feel the problems. So what do these two trends mean for providers? There's more demand for on-demand services, and there's a greater demand amongst health professionals to work flexibly. Well, what it can mean is if you're a new national provider of health or care services, say someone like Push Doctor or someone like Babylon, what you might find is that a majority of your employees are working far less than full-time. So perhaps they'll have a full-time role, maybe within the NHS, maybe within their own practice, and they'll pick up a few shifts here and there. And that's true for professionals who are working in medicine, it's true for professionals that are working in nursing. And what this means is to provide the same number of shifts, to provide the same amount of clinical care, providers now need to have many more staff on their books. The result of that is the costs of human resources and compliance have been growing for providers. And these increasing costs are coming on a background of the provider landscape changing quite significantly. There's more and more entrants to the market that don't fit with the traditional model, people like Push Doctor, obviously. The same is true in the direct care space, people like Carer and Home Touch offering a national service where you can match your elderly relative with a carer and receive care in that manner rather than going to your local social services provider. So as a result, these new providers and legacy providers need to be able to hire, verify, and train enough workers, and to make sure that they stay compliant. So not just that they have the correct credentials when they sign up, but also that these credentials remain up to date. And due to the competition that's out there to hire the best health professionals, it's important that they do this efficiently and in a manner that isn't inconvenient to the healthcare worker, because otherwise they can go elsewhere. So there's a big downside to getting this wrong. So obviously, if your patients come to harm because you've hired someone that hasn't got the correct qualifications or hasn't stayed up to date with their clinical work, you run the risk of reputation damage and of significant patient harm. Here, there's a story of a psychiatrist who managed to practice for 22 years in the NHS without actually having a medical qualification whatsoever. She faked a medical degree from the University of New Zealand and was able to fool the General Medical Council and was listed as a registered practitioner. She was also a revalidation lead, which means she was in charge of determining whether doctors were suitable to continue their practice, which is scary. And there's more and more cases like this of either people who have forged primary medical qualifications or people misrepresenting their qualifications to their employers and causing them to face this risk. So this changed landscape means that the way providers handle hiring, verification, and their compliance has to change. A process that when I started would often take weeks. It would include a visit to occupational health. It might include face-to-face meetings. Now, increasingly, that has to move online. Providers are looking nationally to find the best candidates to work for them. Verification. Previously, this was done manually, involving either manually checking the registers or calling around to verify qualifications. Now, this needs to be done faster, and ideally, it needs to be automated. Similarly, rechecking. When you hire a health professional, you'll run a criminal background check that means you know from that date they have no prior convictions. But what you don't know is if you hire them for a year, that they don't go on to commit a crime, that they then don't disclose to you. So this has to be rechecked to really have any validity. Similarly, professional registrations. Just because you know that someone is on the GMC register when you hire them doesn't mean that in the course of their practice, particularly if they're working in multiple roles, they don't go on to face an investigation or see restrictions on their practice. And you as an employer need to know that, not every year when you get around to checking, but contemporaneously. And then finally, fail-safes. So if someone doesn't have the correct qualifications, or if something significant changes, for example, their criminal record state, you need an automated fail-safe. If you're booking thousands of shifts, this can't be a manual process with only manual oversight. There needs to be some way that health providers know they have a fail-safe, so that if their health workers are found to have a changed professional registration status, for example, or a criminal record, then they know, and that healthcare worker can no longer book a job. So for all these reasons, we built a product that I'm going to show you today called Medic Passport. Medic Passport is HR SaaS for health and care. We designed Medic Passport to make onboarding and verification for healthcare workers much easier. And the aim of this for providers really is to provide a time saving and efficiency to increase safety and to help them get access to the best staff. So one of the ways that we make this easier is we have a machine learning bot as part of our program. It's able to scan qualifications provided by candidates and determine what they are and when they expire automatically. We have safety features with our API that allow providers to continuously check the criminal and professional status of their doctors or nurses, and also stops those doctors or nurses from being able to work if they are unsafe to do so. So we worked with one of our initial customers, GPDQ. We now help them complete their new signups in about 10% of the time it was taking them to do them manually. We have automated their onboarding process, and we're helping them manage their compliance automatically. The company has a product-led growth strategy, so our provider clients pay us to onboard their users. Users then, if they move to a new provider, are able to share their Medic Passport with that provider, which provides us with inbound sales leads. So we're working with a number of new providers, both in health and in social care. We've had interest as well from psychotherapy, and we've just taken on our first customers who are hiring physiotherapists. So we're raising a seed round, and we're looking for people that have a forward-looking view of the health provider landscape and how that's likely to change. And now I'll show you quickly what the system looks like from the point of view of a healthcare worker. So the system's white label, so what you're going to see now is GPDQ, the onboarding system that we designed for them. But this usually has the customer's branding, their images. And what you're going to see now as a customer is a doctor signing up. So the doctor just has to put in their name, professional registration number. We then are able to pull information from various databases to validate the credentials of this healthcare worker. Once we've done that, we ask the worker to submit documents to prove who they are. And then those documents are automatically scanned. So this is the onboarding console. This is very easy to customize. And so this is what new doctors working at GPDQ see. They're guided through a process that asks them to submit the correct documents, to answer a few questions about themselves. They're allowed to schedule an interview. And once that's done, they can then sign their employment documents. They can e-sign contracts. They can view your clinical policies. And what we're seeing here is the bot working. So it's trying to figure out what these documents are based on image files, Word documents, PDFs, whatever they are. Once it's done that, any that can be verified with a third party, it will do that automatically. And any that have an expiry date, it will automatically set up an expiry reminder. So the healthcare worker will be reminded when the documentation is due to expire, as will the employer. So the results are time saving for the candidate and for the employer, but also a reduction in hassle. So here you can see the candidate scheduling an interview. They're able to do this on a shared calendar, and this reduces the back and forth that can often be had trying to arrange interviews with health professionals that have busy working patterns. So that's it. I'll leave you with that. Thank you for your time. My name's Kit Latham. I'd be interested to talk to you after this if you want to hear more. Thank you.